Hello and welcome to another Get Good at Business Spotlight. I am your host, Taylor Proctor, your business coach here to help you get good at business so you can get back into the heart of why you got into business in the first place. And if you're a longtime listener, you know that we do that through utilizing the I Move method, which stands for intuition, marketing, operations, velocity, and execution. And I'm so excited today because we're going to be pulling back the curtain on an amazing business owner, on an amazing business model, and how she uses the I Move method, or how she works within the areas of the I Move method. So it is my honor to introduce the amazing Joey Albertson to the show. Joey, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So Joey is a financial consultant slash fractional CFO, the founder and CEO of Bookflow and the Profitability Project. She specializes in helping women-owned businesses under 10 million in annual revenue establish scalable operational procedures early in their company's life cycle. She currently serves as a fractional CFO for 3 different companies nationwide, is a mother of 3, and a Utah native. So I know Joey because she has also been one of our incredible speakers at our past Get Good at Business summits. She has so much value to offer through her business and as a person. I'm so excited that you're here, Joey. Let's dive into what got you started. What is the inspiration? What is the background to actually start Bookflow and, of course, the Profitability Project?
Yeah, so Bookflow has been a journey of about 3 years, and my background is in corporate finance. And so I've worked in finance for a long time, and during the COVID boom, right? I had quite a few people reach out to me and ask me to help them with their finances. And so Bookflow was really just kind of born. It just happened. And over the years, I've since obviously quit my full-time job and have pursued this full-time. Over the years, I've found a true love for strategic operations, right? Revenue operations, and helping people not only get their finances under control and helping them grow their profitability, but really getting systematic about it and implementing systems and operations that will help them continue to do that sustainably. And as Bookflow grew, I found that I have a second passion for helping women-owned startups continue and to do that themselves as well. And so I've really dove in with the Profitability Project, which is a group consulting and course on startup operations that will help business owners, specifically women-owned businesses, get a solid foundation so that they can grow their businesses as big or as little as they want to, and really do it sustainably without killing themselves. And so, yeah, both things, Bookflow really led to the Profitability Project. And that was really sprouted from my background in corporate finance and becoming well versed in my passions and really what gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that. And I think it's so needed because financials are at the top of every business owner's mind, but just because it's at the top of your mind doesn't mean that you're operationally sound or you have the systems to see how things are really working or to make financially sound decisions. And so to have a person like you come in and help and support that through Bookflow or teaching how to do that through the course and the group program, I think that's such an incredible piece and much needed element of business ownership. So you're doing amazing work in the world.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
So let's move to pulling back the curtain and taking a look at your business within the areas of the I Move method. And the first area is, of course, the I, which is intuition. So how do you leverage intuition to really anticipate whether it's financial trends or guide the strategic direction of your businesses?
Yeah, well, for me in my business, I think this was maybe one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn personally. I think as business owners, a lot of times, specifically in finance, we are so operations, and in finance, so data and numbers driven, right? Every decision should be made based on numbers, which I still think is true. However, there is such a interesting aspect of being a business owner where your gut and relying on your gut is crucial. And so some good examples of when I've had to rely on my intuition as a business owner are when maybe on paper a client is making a good amount of revenue for the business, but as a business, we're unhappy or we're stagnant or we're not going where our vision is was set because of this client, and having to fire a client and saying, against all odds, against what our P&L is telling us, it's time to move on from a client, or move on from a certain practice that we do with all of our clients because it's just not making us enough money. And what I found is when I do rely on my gut, rely on my intuition, um, that ends up working out. It ends up working out for me, and that's really scary, especially as a first-time business owner. It's really scary to say I trust myself and I trust this voice inside my head that's telling me what to do. I've never done this before, but I can say that in my experience, and I actually also I call this the Jill principle because one of my favorite clients, named Jill, has an incredible ability to rely on her intuition. And every time she does, against all advice, it always works out for her. And learning to rely on that intuition and trusting your gut is a huge part of running a business, specifically a startup business.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you bring that up too with specifically a startup business. And I love your example of like sometimes you have to fire clients. Or, I mean, I've seen this even in my own business where I've had a program that has been working, it's successful, it's longevity, it's been 3 years strong, it's amazing, and it no longer feels aligned. And it's like, the energetic exchange of showing up in that, even though it's like it's working, but it just
Yeah.
isn't right anymore. And then being able to release that, and it just opens the floodgates for so many other opportunities and things that are much more calibrated to the direction and the growth you want to go. So I love that you've shared that, especially with that financial and that operations lens, because they are so like data heavy, but
Yeah,
intuition still plays such a great part.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
let's move to the M of iMove, which is marketing, right? Everybody knows that they need help with their financials and their operations and whatnot, but like, how have you found innovative marketing strategies and ways to really connect with your target audience to have them explore and work with you with Bookflow and the profitability project?
Yeah, well, this is a unique question for me because I do not consider myself a marketing expert in the slightest. In fact, I don't enjoy the marketing aspect of it in the traditional sense of posting on social media, or, getting your email blasts out or doing any of those things. That is not my secret sauce. Secret sauce is finance, and so marketing is like not it for me.
It's foreign
So
language.
yeah, it's a foreign language and it's not something I should be spending my time on. However, it's absolutely crucial, right, for a business to market and in order to grow. And so I would say that the best two things I ever did for myself was I learned enough about marketing to be dangerous so that I could hold a marketing team accountable
Yep.
to their actions without just being like, well, I don't know marketing, so I guess you're doing a good job. I learned just enough and then I outsourced really quickly, because I'm not the expert and I will never claim to be the expert in marketing, but it is something that has to be done. And so I would say before you just jump into hiring a marketing agency or bringing somebody in-house to do your marketing, learn just enough to be dangerous so that you can hold that team accountable to their results and make sure that it is profiting your business. And then I would say that the other thing that I've done with marketing is that I used to really undervalue the time I spent getting out into my own community and making connections. To me, that seemed like a time waste. I had two businesses to run. I did not have time to go out for lunch and meet somebody who may or may not be a good connection and probably doesn't want to buy from me. And one day, one of my business coaches actually said, like, no, that's probably the best use of your time. You're the face of this business. Get out there and start meeting people in your community. And wow, what a difference it's made in my business. Not only in making connections to make sales, although that does happen, but behind the scenes, I'm meeting people like yourself, Taylor, right? I'm meeting these incredible entrepreneurs out in my community, following similar ideas or similar visions that I have, maybe in a different execution. And it continues to inspire ideas for me, which then grows my business. But it also creates this vast support system that keeps me going, which I have loved. So although it doesn't always result in sales, it is absolutely a marketing tactic that has brought sales, but has also brought so much more value.
Yes. Oh, okay. Mic drop on that. We have people who come on the show, and I love when they're like, "Oh, I did this with email," or what those individual tactics are, but also across the board, the people who are doing wonderfully well in business will always say networking and relationships, right? And so
Absolutely.
it is such a crucial part, and I love that you've called that out and shared that here because it is so needed. And then I love too because as we move into the O of our operations, delegation usually becomes a key component of that. And so I love that you're like, I've delegated out my marketing. I know enough to be
Yes.
dangerous. Now I can focus on the other areas. And obviously, other operational areas are a huge advantage for you. That's your bread and butter. So,
Yes.
what operational systems and processes have you established to really ensure that efficiency and that productivity, especially across two unique businesses?
Yeah, something I learned really early on, and again, I teach this every day, is systems are the key to profitability.
Mhm.
The more that you spend time on something, the more it costs you, especially in a service-based business. Obviously, we all know that, right? But
Mhm.
it's so interesting as a business owner, especially for startups, to feel like, well, I'm bootstrapping it, so I've got to wear every single hat in order to save myself money. And the reality is you are the business's most expensive asset, probably. And you have something that probably nobody else has that is inspiring the growth of this business. The more time that the business has of you utilizing that secret sauce, the more profitable it will be. So even though it feels like delegating something to somebody else or to a software, investing in systems might be the most expensive thing you can do, it's actually probably the most profitable thing you can do as a business owner. And so I'm a huge believer in delegation, delegation, delegation. And the second part of delegation is understanding and having a system for every single thing that you do so that you can delegate without the ship, you know, sinking, without the train going off the rails. You have to know what the process is so that you can delegate it and delegate it quickly, and you can make sure that the boxes are still being checked without you needing to be there and monitoring it and micromanaging it. So understanding and implementing systems so that you can delegate and the train runs without you is probably the most profitable thing, in my opinion, that you can do for any sort of business, service or product based.
I love that. And that's such a unique flip, right?
Yeah,
Like, especially you are the most expensive resource and asset. Like, take care of that and delegate, and so that you have that space to be able to support even further. So good. So I think that also is a great lean into our next section here, which is velocity, right? Strategies to add velocity to the business. So delegate, add the systems,
yep.
invest the time in yourself, follow your intuition. What are some other key strategies that you have employed to really accelerate the growth, maintain the momentum, apply velocity to each of your businesses?
Well, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning with intuition, but I think there's um, a lot of people that frown upon pivoting in your business, right?
Mm.
If you change your mind, if you change directions, if you reinvent yourself, that means you must have failed, and that's a really bad thing. And I am someone who believes the exact opposite. If you're not constantly pivoting and changing what you're doing, reinventing, and that doesn't mean that you have to start a whole brand new business every 6 months. Please don't do that. But what I am saying is make sure your offer is, or your service or your product is so relevant in the economy, and make sure that the pricing aligns with your target customer and that your target customer is still out there, and do that constantly. Constantly be looking at what you're doing and how you're doing it, and if needs be, like you said, Taylor, if it's not working for you, change it. Don't be afraid to change things and to try something else. The only failure that I know of that doesn't create a lesson in the end, if not more revenue and a better business, is staying exactly the same and learning nothing. Staying stagnant just for the sake of staying the same is ludicrous. It's just not um, good business sense. So I would say my velocity strategy is constantly be looking at how to improve And if there's no way to improve, change. And don't be afraid to change. And then follow your intuition when you find out what that change is.
Yes, yes, yes. And I have to say too, like, I know for myself, for years, I was obsessed with consistency, right? And I do think consistency and showing up in business is a crucial thing. I'm not saying not to do that, but I had locked in my brain consistency with consistency of product and service, in the sense of I am known for this one thing and this one thing only.
Yeah.
And then when that was no longer aligned, it was like, now I feel like I'm starting over. But the truth of it was, like, having to let certain pieces go really allowed that acceleration, that velocity. So I
Yeah.
love that you've called that out, because that's also something like I have noticed in my own business that I haven't ever called out before. And
Mm-hmm.
such a great call out. Oh my gosh, Joey, thank you.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
wrapping things up with the I move method, we have execution, right? So what is the next big initiative, the next big project that you are currently focusing on, that you are executing?
Well, I have to call out the profitability project because as of today, which is June 5th, we are 2 days away from our official launch. So the launch of the profitability project is happening this Friday, the 7th. And that has been a lot of time in the making. And we're officially putting it out into the world. And so that has consumed a lot of what I do over the last few months. And the initiative behind it is to really help women-owned businesses, like I said in the beginning, develop those systems from startup stage to enable growth in a sustainable way that doesn't kill your personal life. You don't have to give up your personal relationships, your personal hobbies, and all your free time in order to do a startup. But in a way that also grows it to whatever level that you want to grow it. And so we've developed this course and coaching program that is available starting, like I said, on the 7th. And we're really, really excited about it and excited to get it out in the world.
Yes. Okay. That is going to be so amazing. And I didn't know you were pre-launch. That's so good. So for any
We
of our
are.
audience who is watching and wants to learn more about you and maybe more about the Profitability Project, where do they go?
Go to theprofitabilityproject.com. I think Taylor's put it in the description for you as well. Go to that website. You'll see a lot of videos about who we are, what we do. You'll learn about Bookflow as well as the Profitability Project, and hopefully get to know me a little bit better.
Yes. Okay, Joey, thank you so much for joining us today. So many gold nuggets I know that I took away from this, and so I'm sure our audience is taking away so much as well. Thank you for joining us, for pulling back the curtain, sharing those gold nuggets, and helping guide us through how you use or utilize within the areas of the I Move method. So for those of you watching, make sure you stay tuned. We have more Get Good at Business highlights and spotlights coming up. But in the meantime, take away the action items from today, those gold nuggets, apply them to your business, and remember that you can get good at business.